You know what we get in September when we're putting out Christmas stuff? People go, Christmas already? Well, at least you don't get that when you put out grass seed in February. And you think, well, why are we talking about grass seed? Because believe it or not, we're just 5 or 6 weeks away from possibly starting to plant grass seed, unless it's your grandma. Because grandma sometimes will always say, hey, you know what? You always put the grass seed on the final snow. Now, I don't know how grandma knows that it was the final snow, but don't argue with grandma. So if grandma says plant the seed, plant it. Other than that, don't plant it yet. It's a little bit early, but this is a time to start thinking about planting grass seed and thinking about it and maybe looking at the lawn and looking under those trees, and you go, wow, you know what? I planted that last year and it's bare again. Well, there's a reason that it's a bare, because you can buy even like grass seed. This is a really good seed. This is Jonathan Green. It's called Shady Nooks, and it says it'll grow in wet, heavily shaded areas. So when you think of that, heavily shaded, you think of, that's right, heavily shaded area. But even on that seed, you need to have probably 3 hours, maybe 4 hours of sunlight to make it come up and to establish and keep it. So that's a little secret. So a lot of areas, you just can't do it. So look, it's like, so you plant it in the spring, it comes up, you're happy, right? Because this is the year. So it comes up, then you start, you baby it, it's looking good, and maybe as you go through the season, maybe go on vacation, maybe for the holidays. And then as the summer gets into June, all of a sudden it starts to get thin and you blame yourself. Well, it's not you, the canopy of the tree is leafing out. So just keep that in mind, and eventually you have to make a decision. Now if you're happy planting grass seed every year, fine. But if not, you might want to think about mulch. But grass seed in itself, to be successful, you can't just cast it over an existing lawn. That's called overseeding, less than 1% germination. You have to make contact with the soil. Easy ways, if you're doing, these are really popular. Has everything you need in it, has mulch, has fertilizer, has the seed. And as long as you scratch the surface and you just drop it in there, it will do great for small spots. It really will, and you'll be very happy with it, because everything, other than that, if you're doing bigger areas, scratch it, get your seed down, put fertilizer down, and then either straw, which I'm not for the straw, love farmers, but I would rather use peat moss, Canadian peat moss. Don't like Canadians as much as I like farmers, but the peat moss puts a nice layer on there, and then you don't have to worry about it coming up at all. So those are some of the things, but then you'll get kind of confused about all the different types of seeds. So a lot of some of the best seeds, turf type tall fescues, but unfortunately our lawns tend to be common seeds, fine fescue, bluegrasses, so you have to be careful, because a lot of these will tip you off and it'll say produces a dark green lawn. Well, that's the key for saying it's not going to match your other grass. So as long as you're mixing it in, but if you're doing one little square, you could have like a blue square in the middle of your lawn. So be careful about some of those. They used to all match. So I know it's early, but if grandma says plant seed, plant it now. The rest of us, let's wait till March.